We're going to be talking to Nancy. So I think the first thing that we should do is introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now and a little bit about what you do within user experience. Like, are you more research? Are you more design systems, content? And then let's add a new question that we thought of this morning. Why did you decide to get into user experience, and maybe why have you stayed in user experience?
Hey, Sarah, happy to be here. Like, really
Hi.
happy to be here, everybody. So, yeah, I also 30 years, 30, like, that's a crazy number. So, everything, nearly every project in my past is 0 to 1 because there was zero. Was zero. We were transforming from command line interfaces to graphical interfaces. So everything was about the GUI, which is fun to say. I wish we still said that, but GUI, GUI. Anyway, ironically, I cut my teeth into the world of UI and UX via iconography, actually. So I was part of a small team developing some of the world's first iconography, specifically for mechanical engineering, 3D modeling applications. And so that was really interesting in terms of it really brought art and engineering and cognitive psychology. How do people decode symbols, understand where they're going, wayfinding and navigation? So, yeah, and I joined CSL because of fast forward 30 years, I had started to really feel irrelevant. I just did. I felt irrelevant, kind of overlooked, discarded, maybe aged out. And I think we'll talk more about mindset shifts. I started to see myself as valuable, knowledgeable, and turned like aged into a pioneer. And that has made me really happy because I think we're at a moment where we need pioneers, right? It's that time again where we're on the cusp of the unknown and building the emerging future.
No, that's great. And I think your perception of like on this cusp and needing pioneers is such a great observation because, you know, you can learn software, you can memorize processes and methods and things like that, but there's also such immense value in the 20, 25, 30, 15 years of experience someone may have that just it's like a muscle, right? Like it can't happen in 2 weeks or something. And so I think there's a lot of importance around encouraging people to stay in user experience when so often I log on to LinkedIn and see people teaching people how to get out of user experience. So it's an interesting time for sure. I want to shift a little bit more to the topics of kind of like confidence and mindset, because I know if you put yourselves in the shoes before you joined Career Strategy Lab, to think about what you were doing, how your approach to your job search was, or if you had even started your job search, and just give us a sense of what was life like before you joined Career Strategy Lab, and maybe, what that shift was like once you got into Career Strategy Lab and started, doing the work and working on your compass and your resume and all of the things.
I mean, pre CSL, I was alone. That, there you go, just alone, trying to do the thing. I had come really close and silver medaled at 3 separate job opportunities that, I felt like, oh, perfect fit, life changing, dream jobs. And then a couple of contracts, also the silver medal. I mean, like, okay, I'm happy to be at the podium, I guess. But I started to look at my materials and I just really felt like that what I had was a bunch of independent boxes of content that didn't really line up to tell a complete story. And I really struggled with joining or not. I mean, I was at a pretty, like, I will not sugarcoat it, people. I was at a pretty low spot, all of it, emotionally, financially. Like, it was a big decision. You know, I may have had a migraine for 3 days trying to work it out. But once I decided, like, I'm going to make the investment because I'll probably just end up wasting more time anyway. or time and money. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to embrace it. And part of my resistance, I know, is that, I have a background in both like computer science and pure art. And the artist side of me is like, I have a big mistrust of programs. Like, don't box me in. I can't breathe. I'm going to become a, piece of Play-Doh that's shoved through an extruder and we all come out the same shape, and then we're just like lemmings. But this program it's just not like that at all. In the end, like the biggest shift is that I already mentioned, I just really felt like I was irrelevant, that I had just become irrelevant. And when I stepped into yes and the new view of myself, I felt such a spaciousness, like everything just opened. I felt really, and I still do now. And I don't have a gig right now. And yet I still feel spacious, like peace, serenity, and like going from jaded and tired to the friendliness has come back. And the only way I can describe it is CSL helped me feel more fully me. And that made all the difference in terms of embracing what I needed to do and how I was going to do it. And I could feel like, you know what? I'm not in like a constricted container. I'm now in service of trying to help the specific people that need me, because now I feel like I've got stuff to give again, right? I'm needed. But you see it all out there all the time, like, good Christ, those people need me. But how do they find me? And so that was like 100%. That when that light went off, and I don't remember how many weeks into the program exactly it was, but that was the beginning of the beginning for me, to help the people that need me find me. And that was my shift. And that changed my relationship with being excited about creating content and finding the different ways to tell a story. When you've got 30 years of possible chapters, it's freaking hard to choose. But so now it's just fun.
I'm glad you brought up the 30 years, because I was going to say, the many people often believe the more experience you have, it's just going to be so easy. And it's not, right? It's a blessing and a curse. You have so much experience that it's hard to package that. And also, maybe you have a lot of experience that you mentioned jaded, like you just have more years of potential for being jaded and things like that. And once you hone in on like what you want to do in the future, that helps you become more excited, I think, as you just described. But definitely doesn't get easier the more numbers of years experience you have. But it really, I think it goes into the topic of really stepping into kind of owning your career, as you kind of alluded to, Nancy, and not just letting it happen to you.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Because I was in a place at a time, right, where we were 0 and we were going to 1, and it was a little bit of the Wild West. And yeah, a lot of the time we were, I don't know, I don't want to denigrate it, but making it up as we went along, right? There weren't any patterns to follow. And of course, you wanted to be smart and thoughtful about it. But yeah, so serendipity is where I wanted to get to. Like early on in my career, played a large part, right? It just did. Things came to you and you do one thing, somebody else would hear about it, and you kind of just kept stepping on a pebble and going to the next to the next. But the landscape is just so different now. It's very different now. And so, yeah, okay, we just kind of embrace the now. And yeah.
I think many people need to hear what you said around, you have this 30 years of experience, and it's taken you time to figure out what's next in your career roadmap. All right, we may get back to the compass statement here. The next question I'm curious about is, thinking back to everything you did in Career Strategy Lab, because, if you're new to hearing about Career Strategy Lab, really, we've sprintified everything related to the job search. So you're all familiar with sprints, and so we have, a resume sprint and a LinkedIn sprint and a compass statement sprint, portfolio, obviously. And I'm curious, maybe you cannot identify only one, but was there a certain sprint that really stood out to you in your experience? It's okay if there's multiple, but maybe let's keep it to two.
Yeah, part of the program that stood out to me, and it's not necessarily in the sprint, right?
Mhm.
But it's like if we can just talk about the weekly calls for a minute, right? There's a cadence of 2 separate calls a week, and one is for critiques, and the other is a mindset call. And like showing up to those every week was really kind of the touchstone for me. And I just need to talk about the coaches for a second. Can we just give a shout out? Because the coaches that you have on your team, Sarah, are just like third eye creatures. They all got like a third eye right here. Truly insightful, truly generous, so well spoken and articulate. Like it is absolutely amazing at the lightning speed that they can dig into your confusion, understand what it is, and come back with a really beautiful answer. I feel like they're detanglers and demystifiers that really help you navigate yourself while you're navigating your content using the materials. And Sarah, that you show up, like you're there on the critiques. Like this isn't a course that's just like I made some content and then bye, sign up, I'm gone. You're there, and there's so many teachable moments watching the critiques. Like even if it's not your piece of content, right? There's always a moment that you can take away to apply to yourself. So as you're working on your own stuff, that was truly inspirational. And I think that all y'all were there on the discussion boards too, right? That was not insignificant. That was no small thing.
Well, thank you for giving a shout out to the coaches because, yes, Career Strategy Lab is not just me. I absolutely could not do it without our team of 3 coaches. But yes, you did such a great job at just articulating how amazing they are on the calls and in the community for sure.
I think there's something special about that in this program that, it creates a nice friendly container and safe. And, when people get wins, like I love the whole section, like there's a whole section on the discussion board about wins, and you're all in it for everyone who wins or gets hired, or whether it's small or big. And there's zero sense of like, oh, what, bringing it back to yourself, like, oh, why not me? Or what's my time? Or what's wrong? Like none of that. You're just truly happy. So I'm not exactly sure how that all happened, but it really is buoying. It's a buoying experience. You're lifted by all the wins. Like it was just, yeah, that felt great. And it gives you air. I don't know how.
I love that you use the word air because I was literally just going to say, I think, I haven't done a formal study on our community inside Career Strategy Lab, but just anecdotally, I think it is a breath of fresh air in the UX community because unfortunately there is such negativity and just like lamenting and like complaining and just bad vibes on LinkedIn oftentimes. And I can now recall sometimes when people have, in surveys and stuff said that they liked our community because it wasn't kind of like this cesspool of like complaining and stuff, like, sure, is it frustrating? Do you get upset? Do you get down? Yeah, but like, let's not dwell on that stuff, right? So I'm glad you called that out. Okay, one last question because I love this question. I think the last one should be, what is one tip you would give someone who decides that they're going to do Career Strategy Lab? Like, is there one thing? It could be super actionable, it could be some like mindset thing, whatever you want.
If you decided to step into yes, embrace it and show up. I mean, just show up. Show up at the calls. You don't have to be on video. You can lurk, or not lurk, but you can hang out and relax. Show up at the peer review areas. Like take time to check out taking up a little space, which is, something that the coaches invite us to do. And yeah, and experiment. I think be willing to experiment with your content.
Just like we do with products, right? We're always experimenting.
Yeah, lo-fi, man. Go lo-fi. Like, don't be vision exceeds grasp.
All right. So that is all the time we have time for. But this is my moment to thank Nancy for your time, for sharing so openly about everything. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.